He was also directly involved in the publication of Srila Prabhupada's books in English and Spanish. He also spoke widely about Krishna consciousness in South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. He took the renounced order in 1978, and in 1982, he came to North Carolina and opened his first permanent Krishna Conscious Center, our beloved New Goloka Dham. Around 1985, he began to work as a GBC and is especially focused on developing a culture of empathy within ISKCON. He has published 2 books, You Are Not the Body and Encounters, and has made propagating this
3 books.
3 books, my bad. What's the 3rd book, Maharaj?
Empathic communication.
And empathic communication, and has made propagating this Krishna conscious knowledge his life and soul. So we are so happy and fortunate to have Maharaj here, and so excited to learn more from him. Without further ado, we'll get right into this, Maharaj. I'll ask you 6 to 7 questions, along with a rapid fire round at the end.
Who made up the rapid fire?
As a never, we still have approval, so no monkey business here. And the last 10 minutes, we'll take 1 or 2 questions from the audience, if it sounds okay with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Wonderful. So, first question is, how did your journey of Krishna consciousness start?
It started when I was listening to the radio and trying to enjoy my material life, and wanted to hear something like the Bugs or the Beatles or something like that. And all of a sudden, it was about 10 o'clock at night on an alternative radio station. They started playing His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Talk, Srila Prabhupada's album. I think it was called the Happening album or something like that, where Prabhupada was chanting Hare Krishna. And just hearing the sound vibration of Srila Prabhupada chanting changed my whole life. This was in 1968 or 69. It changed my whole life, and I just heard the sound. I didn't know what it was, and so I thought I had to record it. So I had one of those old types of recorders, reel-to-reel, giant recorders about this big, and stayed up all night until they played the song again, and then I recorded it and played it over and over and over again, and here I am today. That's Brahma Brahma Take Home Bhagwan Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhakti Beach. That I was wandering throughout all the different universes. I don't know how many universes, but a few of them. And I came across His Divine Grace of Prabhupada by the mercy of Krishna. And the reason nothing happens by accident. As previous to that, I was praying to God, please let me understand Him and serve Him. So I make that prayer continue. This was like a mantra that I had. My dear Lord, please let me serve you and understand you. Please, Lord, again and again I repeat this mantra, and then all of a sudden I turn on the radio and there's Prabhupada. So by the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. Okay?
Your mantra of service brought you to the Maha Mantra. So, such an inspirational story. Thank you, Maharaj. Second question is, what quality in Srila Prabhupada attracted you when you first came to the movement? What quality continues to inspire you? And how do you feel most connected to Prabhupada now?
What quality inspired me? Prabhupada's acceptance and compassion. More than anything else, because I had come across many other spiritualists, and at that time I didn't really understand the philosophy too well. So it was just Prabhupada's just love and compassion and acceptance that really got me. And of course that's also the quality that inspires me right now. What was the third one?
How do you feel connected to him today?
Through service, through exhibiting that same compassion to others, rather than trying to fit everybody into a management slots. Sometimes we find that, even today I was having a discussion with some of my God brothers on the internet, of course, which is where we have discussions nowadays, that about management management, zonal management, how to manage things, whether you should actually be just like strict, detailed, or just be lenient or liberal. And so we were discussing how Prabhupada, he was actually very liberal with everybody, and loving with everybody, and accepting. Even if someone made a mistake or someone did something even grievous, Prabhupada would be crying and accepting them back at any time.
Thank you, Maharaj. Our next question is, what is your most memorable seva in the last 50 years?
Most memorable seva when I was sitting in the car with Srila Prabhupada and feeding him cookies. The story is, I went to Fort Worth. Fort Worth is outside of Dallas, Texas, in case some of you don't know that. And we were going with Srila Prabhupada on our preaching engagement. Myself, Srila Prabhupada, Satsguru Mars, and there's a driver, and I forget who the driver was. And so I had this whole big plate of cookies. And the cookies were meant for preaching. But I forgot, I was just so overwhelmed being with Prabhupada. For me, it was always like that when I was with Prabhupada, that it was just overwhelming. Oh my God, what am I doing sitting in the same car with Srila Prabhupada? How is this possible? And so, basically, I went in a daze on the preaching engagement, which I had arranged. That's why I got a chance to go on the preaching engagement and a TV station. And then on the way back, I forgot actually to give the cookies out to anybody. So I thought I better apologize to Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I didn't give any of the cookies out. And then Prabhupada reached his hand out. Give me some cookies. So he gave him a cookie, and then he reached his hand out again. And he ate the cookie, and reached his hand out. And ate the cookie, and reached his hand out again. Finally, Satsguru Maharaj said, "Look, just give him the whole plate." Prabhupada, he had this appetite after he preached. It was just like a soldier coming back from the battlefield. And he's just like, all right, let's take prasada, boys. We conquered over our enemies. So that was the mood that Srila Prabhupada. That's perhaps I would say one of the most memorable experiences I've ever had. Another one was, since you asked the question, usually when Prabhupada was there, when during Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, I think it was New Vrindavan in 1972, if I remember correctly. And, the year, I remember everything but the year. So, right after Srila Prabhupada gave his talk, then it was decided to distribute the cake, Srila Prabhupada's cake. So Prabhupada gave the cake to his assistant, said, distribute this to the devotees. So at that point, there ensued such a melee, a clamor, a fight. The devotees were punching each other, climbing on top of each other, just to get a piece of Prabhupada's cake, because Prabhupada was taking a little bit of it, his remnants, and Prabhupada the whole time was laughing like anything to see the devotees fighting over his remnants. Another time, just all the memories of Prabhupada coming back. Another time I arranged for a reception for Srila Prabhupada, and this was also Dallas, Texas, because I was in charge of the PR department, public relations, or whatever they call it nowadays. And Srila Prabhupada, we offered Srila Prabhupada to play. There's actually a video of this reception in the VIP room. And Prabhupada was very, very pleased. So we offered Prabhupada to play with fruit, big plate of fruit. And then the devotees wanted to go back to the temple of Prabhupada, and I, being very merciful, said, I'll clean up. So I took this whole plate of fruit and ate everything on it, including the orange rinds, the stems, the grape stems, the grape pits, everything, except the plate. So I was always very, very enthusiastic to eat any of the Mahaprasada that Srila Prabhupada left. And then when I would walk on the beach with Srila Prabhupada, would sometimes walk behind Prabhupada and take the sand from his footprints and throw the sand in my mouth. This way he'd take the dust from his lotus feet. Anyway, so I have great faith in Prasadam remnants, the dust of the feet, and the foot bathing water of the pure devotees.
That was so heart-touching to hear, Maharaj, especially those of us who haven't met Prabhupada in his physical form.
Yeah.
It feels like we're learning more about him, his personality, and we're right there with him and with you. So thank you so much for sharing that with all of us.
Thank you.
Very nice. Our next question is, what is an obstacle that you struggled with in your own Krishna consciousness? How did you overcome it? And what advice do you have to others that might be going through the same thing?
Uh-oh.
Thank you on the spot
What is the
here.
greatest obstacle? How do I overcome it? If I did overcome it. I think the greatest obstacle I had, that I have, is something called impatience. Because, anyway, because of my background is in science and mathematics. And it was very easy for me to understand things very, very quickly. And for trying to explain to other devotees, I was always a horrible teacher because I would get angry with the students for not learning fast enough. So also, with impatience with different things. So how did I overcome it? I chant Hare Krishna very loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And went for walks and rode on my bicycle. So, it's something we have to deal with, being impatient. And not so much with the devotees in their spiritual life, that I'm pretty patient with, but just with normal management things and normal things that happen in this world. I can be almost, don't test me, but I can be almost unlimitedly patient. Shouldn't have said that. I said almost. The almost doesn't count. What do they say? It doesn't count in horseshoes. It only counts in horseshoes. So, with devotees in their spiritual lives, they're struggling and everything like that, I can be patient, but not so much with management things. That's why I try to stay out of management, because I get very frustrated. So, question?
Thank you, Maharaj. That was a great answer. What is a service very close to your heart? One of your favorite services to render?
Favorite service to render is to helping devotees, counseling devotees, and that's why I wrote that book about empathic communication. Because I see so many struggles. This is not only with devotees, but I see so many struggles that people have with interpersonal relationships and not understanding each other and calling each other names or thinking certain things about each other without understanding the other person's perspective. So to me, that's, and people really like that. For example, we set up this whole program in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, to try to help the devotees in personal, personal interaction, as far as also making devotees and cultivating devotees. And over the last year, this program has made like over 30 to 40 new devotees, just by having compassion, concern, and asking people what they want or if they have any questions.
One thing you're known for is how consistent you are in your sadhana and how you show up day after day, year after year, decade after decade. So, do you have any realizations from your chanting and any to express if we're going very rough patches?
Just be OCD. No. No. Consistency and sadhana. Well, I mean, it's the same thing in my relationship with Prabhupada. As I've often mentioned, as a Shisha or disciple of Prabhupada, I try to think, whenever I'm making a decision, whatever I'm doing throughout the day, what would Prabhupada want if Prabhupada was here, and Prabhupada certainly is here in his body. Like, what would Prabhupada want as far as, let's say, like sadhana, getting up early in the morning? Would Prabhupada want me to set a good example? Would Prabhupada want me to do this reading? Would Prabhupada want me to do the service or everything? I try my best upon Prabhupada being there. This is what I advise the devotees to internalize Srila Prabhupada, so they're continually asking of their spiritual master, of course, my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, continually asking the question, Prabhupada, what should I do now? Should I sleep in or go to the morning program? And I mean, I'll give you an example of a bigger choice, one of the bigger choices I made in life. So, as everyone knows, I'm very attracted to Govardhan. Govardhan, for those of you who don't know, is a hill in UP, near Vrindavan. And this is the hill that Krishna picked out. And I'm very attracted to worshiping Govardhan, being in Govardhan. I've even gone there during the summer months when it's 50 degrees centigrade. I don't know if any of you know what 50 degrees centigrade is. It's like 128 degrees Fahrenheit. And just to be there in that atmosphere and to be free of all normal management, headaches, and all those other things that I have to deal with is sort of, it's like it is going back to home, back to God. So oftentimes we hear this saying, goodbye, cruel world. So I'd be very attracted just to staying there and chanting and just going around Govardhan, hey Radhe, Brajadeva, hey Nanda, Bhuta, Krishna, where are you? Of course I haven't seen Krishna. But still, just to be there in that atmosphere. And so then I think, okay, I'm old enough, I can do it, nobody's gonna blame me. At 65, okay, I'm 75 now, but I was starting to think like that at 65. So, but then I asked Prabhupada. Now, Prabhupada, as you know, wasn't on the planet physically at that point. So when I asked Prabhupada in my heart, so this is the relationship one should have with the spiritual master. So I asked Prabhupada in the heart. And then Prabhupada started to yell at me. And he used all sorts of words that I can't repeat. No, they weren't bad words, but they were words like rascal, idiot. Don't you understand anything I've taught you? Okay. You have to die on the battlefield, Prabhupada said. All right. What about going to Vrindavan and waiting until I die? Sometimes people think like that at the ripe old age of 40, someone should just go and stay in Vrindavan in case they may die an early death. But that's not the message I got from Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, you stay, you fight on the battlefield, and how glorious it is if you die on the battlefield. And you see that many great devotees, of course Prabhupada did leave this world from Vrindavan, but many great devotees died, or someone used the word died, but they left this world in the battlefield, like Bhakti Saraswati Thakur was in Calcutta, and according to his Guru Maharaj, Calcutta was the place of Kali. That's what Srila Gaurkishora Babaji Maharaj said, it's the place of Kali. And so we find so many of these great devotees, they left their bodies outside of the holy place because wherever they were was a holy place. I'm not saying wherever I am is a holy place. But if I'm serving Prabhupada's presence is there, and that place is a holy place. And so, like my godbrother, Srila Bhakti Talk, he left, decided to leave at Gita Nagari. He could have gone for Dhamma. He had adequate warning that he was going to leave his body. So, anyway, so that's the relationship with the Guru. One asks that question, and according to the answer, one has to be. That's what Shishya means. Shishya comes from the root shash dhatu, which means discipline. So that's the training I had in Krishna consciousness, that Prabhupada is my boss forever and ever and ever. Janme Janme, Prabhu said. Isn't it? So, another question.
Yes, Maharaj, your faith in Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada is so inspiring. And it's very inspiring to me personally how much you connect with his Vani, because that is truly where his instructions lie. And especially what you said about talking to him in your heart and hearing him yelling at you. I think that was very sweet, very intimate, and also very good instruction for us who might not always get direct association of our Gurudev's Babu. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Next question is, what is one piece of advice you'd give to the future generation of Islam?
Ooh. Be practical materially and spiritually. What I mean by that is that what I saw to a large extent in my generation, that we were, let's say, practical spiritually, but many people didn't understand their basic needs or their, just material needs. Because it's Bhakti Thakur, and therefore they weren't able to proceed in Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Thakur, his Chaitanya Shikshamrita, states that we have both material needs and spiritual needs. And in order to progress at an even pace in Krishna consciousness, we need to be aware of these needs. And each and every one of us has different amounts of each one of the needs. Like we have social needs, we have needs for recreation, we have needs for fun. Of course, they left out Krishna consciousness. But we have needs, obviously, for Krishna consciousness. But we have needs for rest, for food, for all these basic human needs. And so one has to make plans even for taking care of these particular needs, which means even having further education. I remember in the early days of the movement, sometimes we would decry if someone wanted to get some, quote, material education. We'd say that's Maya. But Srila Prabhupada would often encourage people, like I remember we encouraged Sadhaputta and other one of my godbrothers to go on further in their education. Encouraged me. I wanted to go further in my education. And I wrote Prabhupada a letter, can I get my PhD? And my PhD was going to be in science and engineering, and that was always my field and always materially my first love. I love science more than anything else before I joined the movement. Thank God that protected me. Because you can't break the principles with mathematics. Anyway, so anyway, Prabhupada answered, what is the use for me? And I was thinking, heck, so my parents are going to pay for my education. I want to be a big PhD and work in the Bhaktivedanta Institute. Prabhupada said, no, let him just remain as he is. And thank God Prabhupada said that. And thank God I listened. Because of that I'm here today. God knows where I'd be, right? But still, at the same time, for many people, more education is very important. And I see that for our next generation of devotees, that we shouldn't discourage people in education, but actually encourage people to get, not spend their whole lives as eternal students, but to get the education that to have a basis from which they can preach Krishna consciousness and be respected in society and to maintain their families. You know, in the beginning days of the movement, we thought nobody was going to be married. Or if someone happened to be married, that means they left the movement. You know, I remember there was one married couple in the movement. Well, there were several, but there was only one married couple that actually lived outside the temple. And let's see, man's name was Vaman Dev. And I remember, you know, saying the devotee said, there's actually some married devotee lives outside the temple. I said, oh my God, how is that possible? Because everybody else, if they were married, they were living in the temple with their wives, which is kind of a strange situation. And so I actually went to visit that devotee, and I went into his home and I saw it. He has deities in his home. What's happening? There's actually Krishna consciousness outside of the temple. Unbelievable. So anyway, this was the beginning days of the movement. We were rather very fanatic in many different ways. So I think we have to become much more open and accepting, and understand how to apply Krishna consciousness in each and every circumstance in people's lives. And encourage people, even in their educational lives, their financial lives, because all these devotees, if they're encouraged properly, will be a great assistance to the Krishna consciousness movement. Otherwise, you know, if we didn't have all you nice devotees who were married and contributing to the temple, we'd have to send this one devotee. I don't know if she's here. Tulsi, is she here?
Yeah.
We'd have to send her out to sell cookies again. Because one of the ways, in the beginning days of this temple here, we didn't have any congregation. And the Sunday feast was basically a campfire where we sat around and toasted our pakoras. And that was it. So not many people wanted to come to such a Sunday feast. And I did the cooking, I don't know how good it was. So, and then she went out, and on Christmas marathon, we used to call that marathon. I guess you still have marathons nowadays. And she would sell cookies, and that would support the temple. Remember that? She's wearing a mask, so we can't identify her. But we owe a great debt to her for doing that austerity. And that's really why we have the temple here today. Of course, she didn't pay for the construction of the temple. That was paid for by some of my friends in Greensboro and some other places. They helped pay for the construction, but for the maintenance, yes, she paid for that. So it was a struggle. So you know, I began to understand the need for a larger community to support the temple, to support the preaching of Krishna consciousness, and that's what we have now. And so, anyway, we matured a little bit over the last 55 years. So.
Hearing you talk about New Goloka's history in the very beginning makes me want to know more. So, how did you decide that where New Goloka Dham would be, and maybe you can share a little bit more about like New Goloka's journey to get to where we are today?
Okay, so we decided this location because we had previously been involved in managing a temple in Miami, and for one reason or other, things didn't work out. So I decided just to be a pioneer, and this was in 1981. Yeah, 1981 or 81 to 82. So anyway, so I decided to be a pioneer and open a temple in a place where there were no temples in the United States. So I looked at North Carolina, and there was no temples, but there were a lot of, let's say, people living in North Carolina, at least in this part of North Carolina. So I decided, let's open up a temple where we can preach at the universities nearby. And so we took a compass. I don't know if you know or remember what a compass is. The thing that is used to draw circles. Anyone think about that? So we took a compass and drew circles around each of the major population areas where there were universities. And where all the circles intersected is right here. And so I decided, well, we're going to buy some land here. So we had no money. But fortunately, one of the many skills that I acquired throughout my Krishna consciousness was that I had a real estate license. So I knew how to buy property without money. I won't tell you how. It's legal, but I'm not going to tell you. So I knew how to buy property without any money. So we looked around. I wanted to find property on a river, which this property has. And I zeroed in on this property, went to the owner, and made a deal with him and bought this property here. And that's how we got started at this particular location. And in the beginning, basically we didn't have any facilities because we didn't have any money. And like again, Tulsi was there, distributing books and cookies. And because we didn't have any facilities, we had to live in a rather primitive situation. First thing we were living in is a travel trailer. Probably the travel trailer was right on the property here. There was one travel trailer for the ladies and one for the men, or that was later. Yeah, actually Tulsi, she lived in her car throughout the winters. Right?
Summers were worse.
The summers were worse. So she stayed in her car throughout the winters, and we had this travel trailer, and so, but there was no running water, no bathrooms or anything like that, so it was very primitive camping for the first year or two. Even though during the winters used to be a lot colder than they are today. They were so cold that our river at the back of the property would freeze completely, and you could walk on the river and ice skate on the river if you wanted to. That's how cold it was. And so we lived like that for safety, and then I lived in a cabin without any facilities for several, 10, 15 years. And gradually people started coming. We built the temple, I built the temple. A lot of this temple I built with my own hands, laid the blocks and everything like that, flooring and everything like that. So we built the temple, and gradually these people are coming, and now Nungaloka is so big we don't know what to do. We have so many people. And hopefully this year we're going to be starting on a new temple expansion. We'll be talking more about that in the near future when we get the permits, which we've already applied for. So.
Thank you for sharing that. I have been coming for my whole life, but I didn't know how much austerity these devotees had to undergo. So my deepest gratitude to all the devotees that have made New Goloka Dham possible. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much,
Basically, her who did most of the austerity.
I can't even begin to imagine. And I know there's so many more names that I don't even know of, and so many names I probably do know of, but I'm not saying. But so much gratitude to be in this temple room today. Thank you so much, devotees. And Shri Radha Golokananda really gave us you, and you gave us Radha Golokananda actually. So thank you so much for that as well.
There was actually one other.
How they came.
Yes.
There's one other devotee I wanted to thank. There's Karuna Purna Shakti. She's not here today. She might be watching online. So she also did a lot of austerities and did a lot. She chopped down all the trees. She was the expert with the chainsaw in a good way. You gotta be careful nowadays. So, all right. So, what was the question?
Tell us how Radha Golokananda came to appear.
Okay, so Radha. So it also involves how the temple was constructed. So I had this dream of making a dome temple. I mean, somehow or other due to my background in architecture, mathematics. So anyway, I sort of designed this temple before it was built, and I made a scale model of the temple out of styrofoam. And so I thought, let me see if someone wants to give money for it. You can see how Krishna arranges things. So what happened is that I went to some of my friends' houses here, and the first one got so excited. I mean, you see, Krishna was just definitely arranged everything. He said, okay, here's $10,000. At that time, we're talking about 1982, sorry. 1982, $10,000 is equivalent to how much today? Like $50,000 today, or maybe even more. Probably more. Probably like 80,000 or close to 100,000. So, all right, and then I went to another friend and he gave 10,000 to build a temple. I said, all right, Krishna wants a temple. So, and then the second person, he says, I want to sponsor the deities. And so we were going over all the different pictures of deities around ISKCON, all the Radha Krishna deities around ISKCON. And so I took some of those pictures and I flew to Jaipur. Jaipur is where they make the deities. And generally when, devotees buy deities, they buy what we say off-the-shelf deities. Jaipur is a city, well, not the whole city. Jaipur has a lot of jewelry industry and everything like that. But there's a whole section of Jaipur which is just dedicated to murtis, deities. I mean, they have murtis of even politicians there. I remember going into one store and there was a big murti of Indira Gandhi. And everybody imaginable, all 33 million demigods. Not that Indira Gandhi was but it was just like, oh my God, what's happening here? So we finally went to a place where they make the deity. And so I showed them the picture and I said, this is what we want, this is how we want Krishna to look, how we want Radharani to look, what size and everything like that. And the gentleman said, yes, we can do it. And so I gave some money, whatever it was. And I would come back yearly and he was working on this. He starts with a block of marble like this, and gradually chipping away, the deity reveals himself or herself to the sculptor. And so eventually, the deities were done, and then I packed, they packed them, but I arranged for packing the deities in Jaipur and shipping to New York, and then, because I didn't want the chance the deities getting broken, so I picked the deities up in New York and unpacked them in front of the customs agent. The customs agent said, what's this? And I says, Krishna. He says, yeah. So then we put the deities in my car, and I drove the York here, and the deities stayed in the cabin. This is where I stayed for about 15 years. It's still there in the woods. It's like a memorial. Well, not a memorial, still alive. But it's like a memory of all the things that we went through in the early days. So then the deities stayed there, and then in 1985, the deities were installed after we constructed the temple there. And this temple was constructed, a lot of the construction by myself and other devotees. I would say 98% was done by devotees. And I can't think of anything that was done right now by a professional. It was all done by volunteer labor.
We really are standing on the mercy of the devotees right now.
Yeah.
And
strong, you can stand. we built the floor so it'll stand up to over 150 pounds per square inch. Because we understood people would be dancing on it. So sometimes you go into a temple and you dance on it, especially if it's on the second floor, the whole building starts to change shape. But this floor is solid.
I believe you dance on the floor as well. So. And it's so clear how you're using your engineering skills and Krishna service as well. You need a PhD. What do you mean? This whole temple. So thank you for hand delivering Radha Golokananda to us. That is thank you so much. Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. So we're getting down to some final questions from my side for the rapid fire round. So, what do you think is the most important for ISKCON to continue and grow, both in our community and beyond?
Personal relationships. Most important. I mean, we could do many, many big programs. This is also part of the strategy I help them develop in Sydney right now, and maybe we want to apply that strategy here. Like in Sydney before, they were trying to make devotees by doing different hall programs, renting halls and doing. This was in Western Sydney. I was involved, and I'm still involved in helping to build a temple in Western Sydney. But anyway, so I told them, no, instead you go in people's homes, find out their challenges, talk to them individually, be compassionate with them, and this is how more and more people will join the movement, because people want to feel, just like I joined the movement because I felt loved by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and accepted by Srila Prabhupada. Previous to that, I think I should tell this story, which I've told many times before. Even though I understood the philosophy, before I met Prabhupada, I understood I was chanting everything like that. I didn't want to join the movement because the devotees dealt with me rather roughly each time I came to the temple. They preached at me, telling me unless I join right now and shave off all my beautiful hair, which I can't grow anymore. So that I was going to go to hell. I thought, here's just another version of born-again Christians, born-again Krishnas. So therefore I was very much turned off by the devotees, even though I had accepted the philosophy. But when I came in contact with Prabhupada, and his compassion and love and personal dealings really got me. That was the hook that really got me. So I think this is something we need to learn in Krishna consciousness. Then we can expand unlimitedly. Just applying this particular type of strategy, meeting with people, talking to people, hearing about them, hearing about their lives and trying to help them. The last time I was in Sydney, we had an initiation where 29 devotees got initiated. And how much time do I spend in Sydney? Not a lot. So we need to think about strategy, how to deal with people, compassion, personal dealings. This is what people really want more than anything else. And philosophy. Philosophy, yes, but personalism more than philosophy.
I know university programs are very close to your heart, and I've heard several students say from various universities how they walk into the Bhakti Yoga Club and it feels like they're welcome, they're accepted, and that's the reason they keep coming back. So this philosophy of compassion and empathy is really at the root of first Gauranga Mahaprabhu and then Srila Prabhupada, and then now you're carrying it on. So thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Now are you ready for the
I'm
rapid
ready
fire?
What does rapid fire mean?
It means these are quick questions and
Quick answers.
Quick answers. And you can elaborate if you so desire,
Okay.
but the idea is quick answers.
Okay.
So, favorite pastime from Krishna book?
Favorite pastime is Krishna stealing butter and feeding it to the monkeys. That's actually the first pastime or first part of Prabhupada's books I ever read, and it stuck in my mind, even though I didn't understand who Krishna was. I thought I was going crazy just thinking of a little blue boy feeding butter to monkeys, and them eating so much they didn't want any more. And then saying, this butter is no good because even the monkeys won't eat it.
Yes, that is the beautiful Lord that we worship. Favorite pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Favorite pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita? Oh my God. Favorite pastime? What do you think about that one? Can I get a second? Favorite pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being scared that Jagannatha Pandit is going to get angry with him and eating more than he wanted to eat because Jagannatha Pandit kept feeding him.
Favorite pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam?
Favorite pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam? Well, should I mention 10th canto? Well, that's Krishna stealing butter, feed it to the monkeys.
Is there anything else in the other cantos that?
The other cantos? I think Chitraketu trying to have a son by marrying 10 million wives. It's just like, oh my God, what is he doing? Can't he learn? You know, I know the saying that if at first you can't succeed, try again. But that's a little bit too.
Favorite verse from the Bhagavad Gita?
Favorite verse of Yomam Pasati Sarvatra Sarvam Jamaya Pasati Dashanam Na Pranashati Sachamena Pranashati. One who sees Krishna everywhere and sees everything Krishna is never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to that person. 6:30.
Is there a reason that's your favorite?
Because I like to see Krishna everywhere if I can. And
Very good answer.
understand, no matter what happens, it's Krishna. Unless it's my fault.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay, favorite place in the world?
Government.
Also a good answer.
Luka Loka.
I think the crowd liked that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I know, favorite prasadam. I know you were very austere with your prasadam intake, but I'll ask anyway.
Favorite Prashant? No. Hempseed yogurt.
Wow. That sounds like so nutritional.
And sauerkraut.
Much different than my favorite prasadam. That was to be expected. Your favorite piece of advice you've ever heard?
Be patient.
Okay, I think that is all the pastoring I have for you today. Thank you so much for.
I thought we let the audience ask questions.
Yes, I was just about to hand it over to anyone in the audience who has any questions for Maharaj. They can just raise their hands and Maharaj can pick and choose who would like to answer.
Yes.
Krishna Maharaj, good to see you.
Nice to be back. Yeah.
So I have two questions, but I don't know. I'll ask one. So in your life's journey, a few things which are evident is that the analytical mind you had, and then gradually, once you met Prabhupada, you basically surrendered yourself. So, and then the austerity from 1980s to establish this particular center and expanding Krishna consciousness. So how is what you already shared, like the timeline-wise, but what is that inspires you day in, day out to never give up? Because you had so many challenges in your story which you did not highlight in detail, and that's fine, but where's that inspiration, motivation coming to not give up?
Just I'm a servant of Prabhupada. If you're a servant, you don't think about your own challenges or problems or anything like that. You think about pleasing, what I'm looking for is Prabhupada to smile at me and say, good boy. And that's enough. That's enough. I mean, all these other things, not really challenges. There are opportunities. Yeah, there are challenges and opportunities. What brings you Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, without opposition, where's the chance for a glorious victory? Yeah. That's it?
I mean, can I ask another one?
Yeah.
So the second is based on the separation. So please excuse me, but we see in this current time that most of the devotees are leaving this planet. You have dealt that personally by seeing Prabhupada leaving this world in your lifetime, but a neophyte devotee who is struggling to even do his sadhana has attachments to devotees, and then they gradually leave, and that's how the world works. But how to deal with all that and still, again, not give up the Krishna consciousness, because sometimes it's challenging to just absorb all that loss.
Oh, I think it should just inspire one to serve more. I mean, you remember that a Vaishnava, he reasons ill, he says that Vaishnavas die, but now are living still and sound. So, as soon as we lose the Babu, or the physical presence of a Vaishnava, we should realize that we want to stay in touch with them, we have to serve them. We have to serve them previously too, but even more so when the Babu is not there anymore. Just like recently, one of my godbrothers passed away, and Gopal Krishna's passed away. And so I immediately, of course, I'll tell you my initial reaction when I heard that he was sick before he passed away. I got really upset. Yeah, I said some words I didn't, I was upset with Krishna that he was sick. Because we have a great love for each other. But when he passed away, then I thought, let me reach out to his disciples. So I immediately called some of his disciples. I don't know if any of them are here right now. But I called some of his disciples, even though they were in different places of the world. And I felt very much connected to him at that point. So I thought, even insofar as it regards God brothers or friends in Krishna consciousness, that if we serve them after they've left the planet, then we always remain connected. And that's been my experience, that we remain connected with each other. Like Prabhupada said, we have an ISKCON in the spiritual world. So it's not that we're only connected with Guru, we're connected with each and every other member of the Krishna consciousness movement in a very large family. And I don't feel disconnected from any of my godbrothers who passed away, but I have pictures of them in my house. And I don't know, I feel connected with Prabhupada and connected with them. If you serve them, that's the point. You serve them and you're connected.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please
Hare Krishna.
accept my humble pranams. So if it's okay with you Maharaj, can you please share why Giriraj Govardhan is your favorite place and how did it become your favorite place?
Uh-oh. I don't know. It's something from the heart. It's hard to say, Why is your husband the favorite? What? Now you're compelled. And you're forced? No. No, why are your children? Someone has children, why are they the favorite? It's hard to describe. Emotions are emotions are emotions are emotions. I don't think there's really a logical reason. I could say yes because it's the most intimate place, because there's descriptions of all the holy places. The Braj area is the holiest place, and amongst all the places in Mathura Mandala, Govardhan is the holiest place. Nectar instruction, and amongst Govardhan places in Govardhan, Radhakund is the holiest place. So that's theoretical, but it also has to be one's bhav too. So how to explain bhav? Bhav is bhav. Emotion is emotion. what can I say? You know, and just like, I mean, just recently I saw a video of from the Ramayana, and it's really struck my heart. Why did it strike my heart? I don't know. I happen to like Sita and Ram. Why do you like Sita and Ram? I don't know. I can give a theoretical explanation. Why do you like Krishna? Well, he's Bhagwan. He's the richest. He's the most famous. But really, we like Krishna because he's Krishna. Like Prabhupada said, showing his mood, he said, even if Krishna's not the Supreme Personality of God, we still love him. So of course, Prabhupada understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. But when there's emotion there, you can't really, you can, but an analysis doesn't really tell you anything. So Govardhan. It's Govardhan. Why? Govardhan. It's Govardhan. It's Govardhan. It's Govardhan. Govardhan. It is the holiest place. It's the holiest place. But that's theoretical.
So is it something like you developed that love and affection by hearing about Giriraj Govardhan or reading about Giriraj Govardhan?
I think it's a question, with me it was like being there. Being there. I read about Govardhan, of course there's an attraction for reading, but just being at Govardhan, just the atmosphere, being there, and just breathing the air at Govardhan, and going around Govardhan, and meeting the people also. Because I really like to be with the Brajabasis there who are, the simple Brajabasis around Govardhan. And it's just people are very sweet and they're very pure. They're pure devotees. They may not have sex or anything like that, but the people there are those people. They're pure devotees.
Jai, very beautiful answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a question.
Thank you so much. This is light note. Most of the talk you mentioned about the Walmart. Is there anything your pastime with Walmart? Walmart? Yeah. Like, it is a light note. A lot of times you talk about the Walmart.
Oh, Walmart? Well, I didn't say Walmart this time, but it's Walmart. Kmart. Oh, that was before Walmart. Walmart's the recent incarnation. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have an answer to it. Can you give me an instance when I talked about Walmart?
So many times I think whenever you light note.
Whenever you used to go for the grocery, you used to take time and chant before I don't know whether you're helping one.
Oh, that story.
Something like that.
That story. Oh, when I was a new devotee. Yeah. Yeah, if that's the story. When I was a new devotee, I was working for a sannyasi who should remain nameless, who didn't give me time to chant japa. And I was always very determined to finish my japa. So the first day or two, I had to end up chanting my japa after 10 o'clock at night, which was not actually the best experience. So after that, I developed a trick. Every time I was sent to the grocery store, that time we didn't have Walmart, but to the store like Walmart, I would take an extra 2 hours and he would ask me. Because I was always very determined. There's never been a time since I joined this society when I didn't chant 16 rounds a particular day. To me, it represents my connection with Prabhupada, my connection with Krishna. So to not do that would be like almost like breaking the connection. So therefore I developed the habit of taking an extra 2 hours to go shopping, and he would ask me, why did you take an extra 2 hours to go shopping? I said, there was a long line. That's probably the story you know. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So please accept my humble obeisance in Jai Sri Prabhupada. Gurudev, you do such a mesmerizing kirtan, and that too with guitar. How do you learn guitar?
How did I learn it?
How did you learn guitar?
How did I learn guitar? I picked it up. I'm not really that good at guitar, but when I was young, my mother gave me guitar lessons.
And it reflects such a nice in the kirtan. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
I just want to know, what is the one thing that we should focus on that will please Srila Prabhupada the most? Okay, there are so many things, but there is also one thing we should really...
Dati Pradati Guyam Gati Prishti Bhakti Poshite Chaiva. The loving relationships between Vaishnavas. Giving prasadam, accepting prasadam, giving gifts, accepting gifts, revealing mind and confidence, and hearing and confidence. Like that. I think that's the most important thing. Prabhupada said our movement expands because of loving exchanges. Philosophy is there. I mean, that gives us the intellectual basis to remain steady. I mean, philosophy is very important. Knowing to function on the intelligence platform is very important so one remains steady. But one has to have a taste. The taste is actually in the sambandha relationship. Relationship between the Vaishnavas and relationship with Krishna. And that's really, otherwise one won't be happy. Okay? So I think it's time, right? One thanks very good for
Thank you so much, Maharaj. This was so memorable, so amazing to learn from you, about this temple, about Prabhupada and your connection. Thank you so much. We're so fortunate to have you. His Holiness Hare Krishna Maharaj.